Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of simplifying square roots. This is standard A.11A in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 53 of the 2019 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we have this expression here, 4 times the square root of 147. So we need to simplify this. And what I'm going to suggest is we take a moment just to list out all of our perfect squares. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take that 147, we're going to see if we can divide it by any of these. We're going to factor it out that way. Now, one thing that's interesting about this expression is you already have that 4 on the outside. So we are going to have to deal with that because that's not going anywhere. Sometimes when we're simplifying these, it's just a square root and we have to pull something out of it as we factor it out. But we are going to have to kind of involve that 4 in whatever our final answer is. Because it's not just the square root of 147, it's 4 times the square root of 147. So for a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to list it out like this, but I'm just going to ignore the 4. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to look to see how can we divide 147 by one of these perfect squares. So we just kind of go down the list, right? There's a little bit of guess and check. 147 divided by 4, not even. We're looking for an even number. 147 divided by 9, nope. 147 is not going to be divided by 16 because that needs to be an even number. 147 is not going to be divided by 25 either. So 147 divided by 36, getting close. 147 divided by 49. There we go. Hopefully you're seeing the same thing here. I'm showing 147 can be divided by 3 and 49. Those are my two factors. But it's not just 147. It's the square root of 147, which means it needs to be the square root of 49 times the square root of 3, because if you bring this back together, right, you end up still with that 147. So you can combine and you can distribute out square roots just like you can other numbers, right? You can compose and decompose them. So we're going to take our square root of 49. We're going to say, I know what that can look like in a simpler form. That's 7, right? So that's why we were looking for that perfect square. And then that square root of 3 just stays the square root of 3. We can't simplify that. So the square root of 147 can be simplified to 7 times the square root of 3. Now, let's talk about this 4. This 4 has just been sitting on the outside. Okay? Hasn't been doing anything, but it's 4 times the square root of 147. Well, now I can say 4 times, instead of the square root of 147, I can say 4 times 7 times the square root of 3. Okay? So we can distribute out that 4. It's just really, if we view this as one term, we can multiply the 4 times the 7 because those are like terms. So what that's going to get us is 28, which looks kind of big, times the square root of 3. Okay? So that looks like D. Obviously, the simplest way to do this is let's just verify. Okay, so 4, plug in our calculators, the square root of 147. Hopefully you're getting 48 times, I'm going to go to the thousands place, 497-ish. And then let's do that same thing, square root of 3 multiplied by 28. Okay, and look at that, exact same thing. 48 times 497-ish. So yeah, that is a simplified version. And if we want, we can, try some of these other ones. Obviously, knowing that it's 48 something, we know that 196 is not going to work. We could try 12 times the square root of 7. That's 31 times 749. This is a nice thing about these square roots. As long as you have a calculator, it's got a really easy check. Just take a little moment and plug it in. This is going to be 7.937. So yeah, plug it all in, see which one works, and if you want to simplify it, you see that it works best as D, 28 times the square root of 3.